because then I'd incorporate and show kind of more the way that things kind of tie and work and sneak in and do that. But I think one like him in particular, from the history you tell me, I don't worry that you can't ride a flying change or a pirouette. I want you to feel what an amazing piaffe feels like, or a light horse that is in self-carriage feels like. Because that's a feeling you can't, that's one of those feelings, like, in a way you can't learn. You know what I mean? Like, anybody can teach you a flying change aid, but not everybody can teach you a light feeling, correct collection, those more nuanced things, you know what I mean? Or any horse can give you, I mean, in a way, a half pass. But not every horse can give you this correct feel in a half pass. Okay, take them up. I want you to touch on those little half steps again. So yesterday I helped you kind of know the feeling we're after. Today I want you on your own, just try and play with it, whether it's circle or the long side. It makes no difference to me whether they do them on bending lines or straight lines. I just make sure if I'm doing them bending lines, I kind of do equal both. You will find one side's a little easier than the other, obviously, because there's a stiffer rein. Wherever it feels easier to get, that's the place to do it at first. And what I'm after, just literally like that, just creeping walk. And all you're going to do within that creeping walk, keep squeezing and suppling him so that he doesn't, because if you touch him, he might, when you start to think about it, he might start pulling at the hand a little bit. You're just going to go like in the trot. Could I start to touch you and keep you light feeling? Walk on. And as I start to touch you with the whip, I'm going to kind of think of trying to get your hind legs to swing up underneath you. You can really walk them. And just not a real like motory walk. Yeah, kind of, that's perfect. And now I'm just going to start to go. Can I keep kind of, not like throwing the reins away, but can I keep kind of lightening up a little bit and start to touch at the hind legs to come under? And if nothing happens, yeah, good, perfect. And then a little pressure release. It sound like, I know that was nothing, but that's how little I want, like how downplayed I want it. That it never is this intensity building where he's going to get strong. Yeah, a little tickle at him. Good, coming under. Yep. Perfect, good boy. All I'm after is the shape change of his lower back lifting. Does that make sense? Now, if he really changes shape, he's gonna kind of become a little trot-like. Like, it will start to swing and become a little trot-like. That's great. I'm not after saying to him, trot-like, like bounce and give that to me right away. I'm after saying, stay light, lift your back, tuck under, get strong. A little tickle. But I will get a little piaffe step as a byproduct. Now, if that access door becomes so easy to open, I can get to it like every time. He's never getting strong, he's giving me the right reaction. Then I'm going to go, now hold it a step or two longer, or now energize it a touch more. Good. So it turns into my piaffe. Does that make sense? But I don't want the feeling of ease or lightness to get strong, to get harder, to sustain. Because like I said yesterday, if it's strong, it's wrong. It should get lighter. So especially with this work. Now, sometimes they do get stronger because they mentally wind up. You have to take that into account, right? Because just the intensity. I want you to change direction only because he's getting a little crooked this way, swinging his haunches a little bit in. So instead of having to argue with that, the haunches are swinging left, take him to the right, put his butt against the wall where he can't swing out. Just see what he does. Maybe he gets crooked to the right as well. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's the whip they're swinging into.
Okay.
Play him a little rounder. Keep the walk slow. Hands, you got it. I like that with the wiggle on the bit. Good. Slow walk. Keep thinking, could I release a little bit? And just kind of tickling at him. Good. Careful there. That one he started to think more trot-like and he surged forward. It is a mild surge, but he didn't tuck under in that one. I think it's more creep under, 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 tickling at him, under. That's better, right. That one will become a more swing-like piaffe. The first one he did on the long side will become a more bouncy, jig-like trot. Suppling him. squeezing him, bring him a little back, tickle at his hind legs to come under. Good, back with the forehand, under with the hind legs, good. Touch with the whip. And if he doesn't respond, you go a little sharper with the whip. Good, good, yeah. Because he can't not respond to the whip, otherwise he'll never change shape, right? And if he doesn't respond, I don't want to just keep tapping, because if I just keep tapping and he doesn't respond, what's he probably going to then start doing? Yeah, I mean, but he's going to start getting stronger, right? Yeah. So, because the moment is just held for too long then, the intensity is building. I want that he reacts pretty, yeah, not like leaps into it, but he does have to kind of react fairly quickly, because if I set him up and I get him soft, like I really want you to wait till he's soft and you could release, and I know he'll react, then when he does react and change shape, he's doing it in a light state of being. Whereas if he might not react, and he's light when I start, but he might not react, and it's the third or fourth time, he might have changed shape or changed the contact before he reacted. Does that make sense? Yeah. Really play in front. Good. Light little brush with the whip when you're ready. Don't charge off, bring him back. Good. Little brush again. Take him under, under. That's it. That's it. Good, good. Yes, right. Now the reaction isn't trot-like all, yes, good. Doesn't mean he has to bounce, right? The reaction is the shape change, which results in that little swing-like trot step. So the reaction you feel from the whip, it might not be like his body kind of, electrifies into anything, but you should feel that rock back or that tuck under or that kind of lifting feel of his back. Good. Not lifting feel, I think that was yesterday where I said that kind of almost like they're pooping, right? The way that they kind of hump their lower back up. That's kind of what you're after generating a little bit of an access to with this work. Yeah. Touch on. That's it. Good. Good.
This one.
For that work with I have my whip rack in the arena, and so sometimes I'll go and pick up a longer one just to do that work, right? Just trying to walk again for a second so I kind of realize you've got the whip at the next one. Really round, like soft. Slow it down just a touch. A little rounder, play with it around. Just reach back with it. Apply this little wall and then turn it on. Good. Yeah. Better response with the longer whip, right? Yeah. That's a really awkward you can get really long ones that are super stiff. So that which, when they're whippy, the timing becomes awkward. Because you kind of flick your wrist and the whip doesn't touch until a split second later. So it's like you can't quite get them right at the right moment. But at least you can touch with that right now. You're kind of touching the right body part. That's getting the hind leg to go under.
Okay.
So that's something I would just play with.
Yeah.
That calm about it, that quiet with it, right? And like I said, for me, I just have my whips by the arena and I'll walk over, switch it, take that one, put it back. Like I don't want to try going cantering with that because he'll, yeah. Although sometimes I do carry the long one in the canter too for pirouettes.
Yeah.
Reach way back down on the outside hind leg as I'm getting the haunches in and trying to get that inside hind leg to really engage under. Right? Pick 'em up. Quiet trot again for a second, then we'll move on. In the trot for a second, circle again. Kind of so that he gives you that same result, the same response that he got to yesterday after the half steps with the trot. Yeah, bend and lighten, good. Keep letting go. And that work you just did with the half steps, you can go a lot longer. Like it's kind of expedited right now just because we're on time constraints, right? But you could do 20 minutes of that if he stays calm. That's not physically taxing on him in any way. It's mental training right now. It will become more physically taxing. And when he starts like really piaffing and stuff, I'm not going to go 20 minutes of straight piaff work. But right now, I'm going to go 20 minutes of desensitizing to the whip like I was doing with Ali's horse, which he's not that reactive, but he needs to get calm too about it because he is still a little too intense about it. And then also just flexing his back over and over and over and over and over and over so that you train in this like little button. I could just press this button and his body goes pop. Good boy. Press the button, pop. Over and over till it just becomes this little trick that he does almost, right? And then that pop, I start teaching them, showing them how to do that in other places. That's where I teach them how to do it, but then I use it and show it in other places, like in the trot here, in my pirouettes, in my flying changes, that he gets that little tuck of his pelvis or tuck of the hind legs that switches the angle or changes the angle of his pelvis and his lower back. Good, love it, right. That lightening up like that is great, playing. Good, good. Walk when you're ready and a little break for a second. It's not, like I had somebody say that to me a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago, I was probably your age, like early 20s, right? And I had a horse, he frustrated the daylights out of me because he was so strong. And a friend that used to help me a little bit, and it didn't last for long because I argued with her too much, but she yelled at me one day. She's like, you, and I kept saying he's heavy, he's heavy, he's heavy, he's strong. And she's like, well, let go. Stop pulling on him. Don't give him anything to pull against. I lost my crap. Because I went, I get it. If I don't hold against him, he can't be heavy. If there's nothing for him to pull against, there's nothing for him to pull against. But if I don't have some form of contact, will he stay on the bit? No. His body will not function correctly. So it's not as simple to say, like, it takes two to tango, just let go and he'll get light. But there is a lot to be said for that mentality as far as the brainwash aspect goes. Does that make sense? Yeah. You have to ride him in the mindset that you want him to feel. I say that all the time about horses. You have to ride them the way you want them to feel. If you ride them the way they feel, you're not actually training them. You know, if you get on a heavy horse and it's heavy and you're like, oh, well, it's heavy, I just, whatever, and I ride it. Well, I get on him and he's lazy, and he's lazy, it's fine, whatever. Oh, he's hot, I won't put my leg on, whatever. You're not training them. That's how they want to feel, or that's how they want to go. And like, really honestly, most horses, they don't want to be Grand Prix horses. They don't want to work that hard. So you do have to train them and kind of help them get there with that. Okay, take them up, check on the counter. I think